seeing how well the defense played, being forced all the turnovers, how frustrating the loss has been to be.
Very. Yeah, it's not easy. Definitely should have won this game.
They should have won this game. They should have. But at least the Houston Texans covered the spread. Huh? No? No one's going to laugh? No one's going to chuckle?
I chuckled at the hometown hero. What a dumb call. He's playing for the other team. I don't care if he's from Tomball.
But he's from Tomball.
He's not a hero.
What? He's not like Jimmy Butler refusing to acknowledge that he is from the greater Houston
You don't
area.
know that.
I would assume he wouldn't. I would assume an NBA star can pull that off. I don't think a kicker who was a bricklayer a couple of years ago is going to say, I'm not from Houston or anything like that. He is a hometown hero. He did that in his home. It was 58 yards.
He's in his hometown, and he's a hero for the other team.
Yeah.
He barely made it.
He did barely make it, but he did make it. And you see, Joe, football is a game of inches.
That's true.
And sometimes there's a lot of inches. Like, I don't know, when a quarterback throws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interceptions. And usually those inches, they lead to inches on the scoreboard, you see. Like a 23-7 halftime lead. And you see, that's the name of the game. You win the turnover battle, and then you score more points than the other team because you're going to score points off the turnovers, you see. And the Texans did that for a little bit without Nico Collins, with some shuffling on the offensive line.
And then?
And then what? They covered the spread.
They did cover the spread. Good for them. Good for Paul.
Am I supposed to be mad? A real question. Am I supposed to be mad? I know I'm a sports talk show host in Houston. I have lived here for most of my adult life. Am I supposed to be mad because this is all they do? Who saw this coming? They're up 23-7 at halftime. As I go to take a leak at halftime, I see Mark Vandermeer, and he's got his battle red jacket on, the voice of the Texans. The Texans broadcast of last night's game I thought was fantastic. Andre Ware was calling people out left and right. And we're talking, we're like, man, it's looking really good. But yet there was this sense, because of all of the opportunities that they didn't take advantage of, where you're just getting field goals and field goals and field goals. I thought to myself, I mean, it is possible for them to blow this. The Lions are 7-1 now, 8-1 for a reason. And then they blow it. Am I supposed to be mad? This is what they do. This is what they've done their entire existence. This is what all NFL teams in this city have always done. Whenever they find themselves in a big-time spot against a big-time team, they are going to blow it. It is just a matter of when. Am I supposed to be mad? No, I now expect it. I know what I'm signing up for. And once again, this team that was having more fun in practice and had a team meeting had to have another team meeting after another loss, which, again, they led 23-7 because Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions.
I think it's fair if you want to be mad about this one because of the bad losses that I've seen here. I think this one, honestly, is the worst. I mean, besides, I guess, the playoff game versus the Chiefs, but to have a quarterback throw 5 picks, 5 picks.
He stunk.
I mean,
Jared Goff was bad. And I know we have our back and forths with the Twitch. The Twitch liked Goff. Goff was having a great season statistically. This was a very bad night for him. And I don't think he's a bad quarterback because of it. But even in a 5 interception game, Joe, you could make an argument that CJ Stroud was just as bad in this one.
Yeah. I mean, because I think his interceptions were worse.
Yes.
I mean, Goff, you have the one at the end of the second quarter where he's just throwing it up down the field. The first one's a deflection. Like they are weird interceptions. Where CJ, I'm in my seats, my dad's seats are in the visitor section. So besides being drowned out by Lions
fans,
there's
a lot of Lions fans.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It is pathetic.
But it is what it is. But it is what it is.
But seriously, I cannot believe that I've been to 3 games this year. I went to the Bears game, the Bills game, and the Lions game. And my God, the entire side of the visitor sideline, the lower bowl, is entirely the opposing fan base.
They got a lot of fans.
Go go to the damn games. Like, I understand why you don't want to.
I
because,
mean,
like,
yes.
you want to make money. And like, I get what happened last night, but like, go to the goddamn games. Like, go to the football games and support your team. It's quiet as a church mouse, even as things are happening. The loudest they got for, even as like things are going well, feels like the loudest they got is when they introduced Tank Dell before the game. Like, it is a pitiful, like, environment.
I disagree. All those fans, I totally co-sign it. Why would you want to go to that?
I understand why they do it. I don't know why I was there.
Why would you want to go to it? You know what's happening.
No, as soon as CJ threw that pick, game over. Start the second half.
I like that you've got the anger. I wish I had it. Joe, I really want to manufacture it. Like, the only thing I can think of that makes me angry is that I'm going to spend Christmas Day here in Houston, Texas, watching the Texans play a football game instead of seeing my family. This football team, which is the reason that I'm here, I came down here working at the Texans flagship to cover them. Football's my favorite sport. The NFL is always going to be my number one thing. If I end up in another market, I want to talk about the NFL more than anything else. I'm here basically to cover this team. This team has had such a stranglehold on my life where I couldn't go to the day after my sister's wedding to a family reception because I had to get back for a Texans-Rams game, which, by the way, the Texans lost like 41-7. This is what I think about. Like, I have made this team such a massive part of my life, and I know what's going to happen every single time. And I get why people check out. I also get why people are maybe not feeling going to a Sunday night football game, just given who this team is and given who they were going up against. There are diehard fans in this town, but everyone at this moment in time is thinking to themselves, we know what will happen. And it's the same thing every week now. Offensive line struggles, weirdness from Bobby Slowick, even if there are good moments from Bobby Slowick. The defense runs out of gas after really carrying their weight for a while. The offense doesn't score anything in the second half.
Yeah, I just thought it was going to be different with CJ. Like, you would think that a quarterback would break through some of the stuff, and he did last year. And he had a bad game yesterday. And you can blame Bobby Slowick, you can blame the offensive line, and all that stuff's fair, but it is still like we have to start looking at the quarterback.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And saying like it's been, I don't know if it's been like trying to like ride along with the fan base of just like everything is like sunshine and rainbows with CJ, but like this loss is on him. And
more than anyone, I agree.
Yeah, and there are other guys to blame, of course, and there are injuries and all these things you can account for, but just to be that poor in the second half all these weeks in a row, like, it is on Bobby Slowick. But at some point, like, your quarterback has to make these plays. We would expect Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all these quarterbacks to make plays. Hell, Jared Goff, who threw 5 picks, made the plays when it mattered most. And, I mean, your defense, like, they did a good job in this game, getting 5 picks. And, like I'm not going to blame them for getting gashed at the end of the game for Jahmyr Gibbs. Well, they're on the field all the time.
Yeah, they were running out of steam.
Because your offense is incompetent.
Tamika Ryan said afterwards that they didn't run out of steam. I disagree. I mean, you could tell. And then all of a sudden, the Lions' offensive line started going. It's the best offensive line in the NFL in the eyes of some. So I thought the defense did all that it could in this game. But to bring it back to CJ Stroud, you're right. And Joe, there's a hesitance among fan bases that have young quarterbacks to criticize the quarterback. I experienced it here. Remember when Deshaun Watson was awful in that playoff loss to the Indianapolis Colts in 2018, the 2018-2019 season. This is the year where they won 9 in a row and no one cared. Watson was bad. I called him out on it, and people got very defensive about it. Quarterbacks are going to have bad games. Stroud is going to have bad games. I still like Stroud as a quarterback. I don't think he's hopeless, but clearly there are some real issues this year because it's not just the very careless interception to open up the second half. Really, the last thing you can do, your offense is so bad in the second half. Or the play where he is just late to Tank Dell, who was open in the end zone, should have been a touchdown. On the last drive of the game, where they end up missing that field goal, he had Dalton Schultz open twice. Once on a post route, might have been 6. Another time on third down, he doesn't even see Dalton Schultz. And this is where things are starting to get crazy. You can say, hey, the offensive line is making him kind of skittish back there, and he's not able to see all of his progressions. You can say that Bobby Slowick, his offense, is not helping him out. And you would be right in a way, but Stroud is now missing very easy things, and he can't do that. He has to win games for this team, given what they were dealing with last night, where Nico Collins, who apparently is 100% healthy, is scratched right before kickoff. Strange. And on top of that, you don't have Stephon Diggs. this is on CJ Stroud to prove that he can do what he was doing last year in late game situations often. We know he's capable of it, but he has to do the right thing there. And sure, Titus Howard literally strip sacked him and may have quit on a play that Laramie Tunsil also quit on. You got 2 8-figure tackles who don't seem to give much of a bleep and who did not want to talk to any of us after the game, even though I really wanted to know, hey, why did you take the ball from your quarterback? But ultimately, go back to the quarterback. This quarterback stunk last night. Stunk. CJ Stroud's mom. I know you saw some of the criticism online. What's her name? Kim?
Kim, yeah.
Your boy's going to have some bad days, and he knows it. After the game, we heard from a couple of people. First, here is D'Amico Ryans. Some people thought he was throwing Stroud under the bus for this. This is not what happened at all. Big Sarge asked him this question.
CJ was off in the second half. He started out, he threw an interception, and then, they played. He threw another interception in the red zone. What was it about his second half rhythm that didn't match the first half rhythm?
It's not good enough turning the football over there, especially red zone or coming out. We talk about getting started in the second half, and we talked about being better in the second half, but to come out and turn the ball over the first play of the second half and to get in the red zone where we have points and to turn the ball over, that's not winning football.
It's just fact. You're right. He's not throwing him under the bus.
Didn't throw him under the bus at all.
He's speaking facts.
The question wasn't even really that critical. I mean, yeah, the drive right before halftime, Stroud looked great. I mean, that touchdown drive that they scored before halftime, I was like, okay, this is what we've been looking for all year long. First drive of the game, there were a couple of nice moments by Stroud too. 3rd and 16, he runs straight up to the line of scrimmage, and he almost no look past it to John Mechie, who had a great game last night. Good for him. And they get a first down. He had his moments, and he always will have his moments. But the consistency is a problem right now, and he is, I think, most to blame for last night. And I don't think we should be so hesitant to say that. There's going to be games like this. It's a 17-game season.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do like a blame chart, like a little pie chart here, I think it's definitely 50% CJ Stroud. Now, the offensive line deserves probably a quarter of this, and then Bobby Slowick deserves it. I mean, think about the first drive of the game. Run, go nowhere. CJ Stroud converts a big first down. Disaster Tank Dell play. I think that was when they were 1st and 16. Maybe the reverse was later. But run, go nowhere. CJ Stroud converts to 3rd and long. Like they're constantly in 3rd and long. They make it so hard for him, and they've just. This is where I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Is like they do put him in situations that are so challenging all the time. I mean, it was like the 3rd quarter. And the people I'm sitting next to, we're laughing that Joe Mixon has a 6-yard run, and they've doubled their total for the day.
Yeah, this Mixon's worst career game, and it wasn't even his fault.
No, at one point he had 20 carries for 34 yards.
He was doing all he could. I thought Mixon ran really hard, but I mean, there was nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's not like he was missing holes. It was just he was just nowhere to go. So, there is the offensive line and Bobby Slowick to blame, but at the end of the day, what D'Amico said there is right. You cannot start the second half that way, and then you cannot get into the red zone like that and have Tank Dell wide open and just miss them and get it that late to where they're going to get the ball back. You knew the Lions at some point were going to start figuring things out on offense.
Yes. And
what the Texans are missing this year versus last year is that killer mentality. Last year they had it. That when they needed it, CJ Stroud, you knew, was going to be an assassin on the field, drive his team down and get a touchdown. This year, it's same old Texans. Something bad is going to happen. Whether it's Kaimi or your quarterback struggling or your offensive line taking the ball away from your quarterback.
They just showed a graphic on the Pat McAfee show, teams winning when they shouldn't. It shows a line, 5 dots for the Chiefs, talking about 5 games that they should have probably lost that they won, 3 for the Lions, same thing. And yeah, to what you were saying, it does feel like the Texans do this, but this game, it's on CJ Stroud more than anybody else. CJ Stroud would even agree with you. Here's CJ Stroud at the beginning of his press conference talking about the interception that he threw to open up the second half.
Yeah, just didn't see the coverage. He did a good job. I had the cover 2 and just left it inside. Can't do that. Made a good play on the ball, so yeah, it's my fault.
Carlton Davis, 2 picks. If I'm not mistaken, Carlton Davis was eaten alive by the Texans last year. I think that on throws to Carlton Davis when he was with, I want to say the Bucks last year.
I think that sounds right.
Stroud, I think he had eight completions with 3 touchdowns or something like that. And Carlton Davis gets his revenge. He gets 2 interceptions in this game. Stroud also said after the game that every single week, the offensive struggles, there's something different. But for this game, it's on him.
It seems like it's different every week. I feel like this game was on me. Definitely got to make plays, got to make throws. Can't turn the ball over and when we're in scoring position. So, yeah, I blame this on me. I got to be better in those moments. So, yeah, it's really just you got to go down and score in the red zone, and defense is getting the turnovers like they were. So, you got to be able to, reward them with points, and that's something we didn't do. So, I feel like I'm the one to blame.
100%. It's something different every week. That's what's the most daunting part of this for the Texans is that besides the fact that they can't score in the second half, like that's the overarching problem with this team. But the reason why they struggle every single week is something different every week. So it's not like it's one solution fix all for them right now. Because Joe Mixon had been great for this entire season when he's been out there, and then he was a disaster this week. It's not his fault. CJ Stroud has his worst game. Honestly, I think this is his worst game as a Houston Texan.
Wow.
Because even though like there are games where statistically he was worse, this is when it mattered the most, and he wasn't good enough. Like this is the game where he let you down the most as the quarterback of this franchise. So that's where it's something different every week. So how do you solve it? I don't know, because it just seems like there's 100 issues and you just don't know which one's going to show up each week.
Right. And none of them seem to be changing anytime soon.
They tried. Well, Nico will be back next week. Even though I had someone tell me before the game that they knew the whole time Nico was not playing. So it's not like they prepped for this game, expecting him out there. He did not do much on Friday, and they knew he was not going to play on Sunday. So at least they didn't think they were having Nico, and then something weird happened. So he should be back next Monday. But
a lot of people were texting me asking, hey, is he going to play? And I kept on telling them, I truly don't know. But he hasn't practiced all week. On Friday, when we found out that Collins was active, I thought he was going to play. But I remember I had to re-record a pregame interview that I had done for the Texans-Lions game that we saw last night. He didn't play in the game, and okay, when Nico's back, things might be better. One texter is saying that. Another one is saying, hey, if Stroud hits Tank Dell, we're talking about a totally different thing. You're right, but Stroud not seeing Dell until too late, that is a symptom of a larger problem where Stroud doesn't seem to be seeing things as well as he did last year.
Yeah, he just doesn't look like the same. Like, he doesn't look as comfortable this year. And that can be the offensive line. That can be that people have the book on him this year, that are the book on this offense of what was successful and worked for this team last year. Defensive coordinators clearly have a plan of attack, and it's working for the most part. I mean, the second half numbers, like, I don't understand how they can't score in the second half. It makes no logical sense how every single week they're this bad.
It is something else, because I have said this multiple times. I think the idea of second half adjustments is a myth. You got 5 minutes when you're in there. It takes probably 2 minutes to get to the locker room. It takes 2 minutes to leave the locker room. You talk a little bit, but you can have these same conversations on the sidelines. If you're an assistant coach, if you're a coordinator, you have to be adapting as the game goes on. And it just feels like this team does not know how to do that. I don't know if that's a game plan thing or if it's teams start figuring out their tells kind of thing, maybe on the offensive line or what CJ Stroud's doing or the receivers or whatever. All I know is that it has happened in every single game.
It's crazy.
They haven't scored a touchdown in the second half since week 6. They didn't score any points in the second half yesterday.
And you get one field goal, you win.
And Jared Goff still threw 2 more interceptions after 3 in the first half. He was still giving you opportunities. You take advantage of none of them? I'm kind of just baffled and almost chuckling at it because it's so unfathomable.
If you just get a first down after the response interception, where you get, pinned down at the 1 yard line after, CJ throws his first one in the second half, and then Goff gives you that's his fourth of the game there. If you just get 2 first downs and then punt the ball, at least you flip the field. Maybe it's a different ball game, but you can't even get a first down there. I mean, it was all bad. It was all bad for the Texans in the second half.
713-780-3776 to call in, to text in. You can join us on YouTube at ESPN Houston. You can join us on Twitch at ESPN 975. We've got Gary. Gary, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys? Just want to say, there are no sacred cows, man. That game was on CJ Stroud. Obviously, I'm not saying it's 100% to 0%. Anytime you have a disaster like that, there's several things that happen. But, Slowick was good enough, right? I'm not saying he was great, but Tank Dell was wide open. That was a schemed open touchdown pass, and CJ just misses it. Missing easy throws to wide open receivers. He's still a young quarterback. Frankly, this is not his first bad game this year, if we're just being honest about it. I wouldn't even say that it's a sophomore slump, but, he definitely, usually progress is not just a complete linear thing, right? And so far, CJ has been a little mixed this year. I still have faith in the guy. I think the world of him, but we just need to be honest. This was on CJ, right? If we just had to place the blame on somebody. And hopefully the Cowboys will be a good well game and we get Nico back. But yeah, big picture, I just want to say it's on CJ.
Appreciate the phone call, Gary. And I think we all agree on that. I will say this about the Cowboys game, and even in a game where Cooper Rush threw for less than 50 yards. It's the fewest passing yards the Cowboys have had in decades, I'm assuming.
I would assume so.
I don't think that's a lock. I don't. You can't say anything's a lock right now. And you got 3 cupcakes, a nice little cupcake buffet before things get pretty dicey in December. With how this team plays with its food, especially in the second half, you can't say that they're a favorite definitively over any of these teams. I refuse to do it. I'm not saying this is a team that's better than everybody else. I think it's a team that's better than the rest of the AFC South, which, by the way, every single team in that division lost this weekend. And it seems like every single team in that division is in the midst of a losing streak of sorts. Could be wrong on that one. Oh, wait, yeah, because the Texans did win last. No, they didn't. They lost.
2-game losing streak.
Does anyone have a winning streak?
I don't. I think they're all on losing streak.
At least 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, because the.
The Titans have only lost 1 game because they
beat the Patriots.
They beat my Patriots last week,
which is good win.
Good win.
It was a good win.
That's a good team.
Patriots, good football team.
The Patriots beat the Bears 19-3.
No comment. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Texans.
Only beat the Bears 19-13. Makes you think.
Wow. If only those teams got on the same field, we could find out who's better.
We could. Yeah. Well, honestly, I wouldn't feel that bad about it.
We'll just have to debate.
You just have to pretend. We don't know.
Any team can win in the NFL on any given Sunday.